Welcome to the deep dive. We're plunging into a really critical topic today, the extreme weather outlook for Europe and also parts of West Russia coming up between June 29 and July 8, 2025. Our goal here is to cut through the noise, give you the vital insights from what we're seeing, and really explore how these kinds of events are fast becoming the new normal. And it looks like a double whammy, doesn't it? We've got this intense heat wave forecast for Western Central Europe could hit 45 Celsius because of this thing called a heat dome. But at the same time, West Russia and the North Caucasus region are looking at severe storms, then flipping quickly to extreme heat themselves.
That's right. And the core finding really from all the sources is that human-induced climate change isn't just, in the background somewhere. It's actively amplifying these events. It's turning things that used to be rare into something almost predictable, part of a systemic shift. I mean, Europe's been warming at twice the global average rate since the 80s. That's significant.
Okay, so let's unpack this heat wave first, the one dominating Western and Central Europe. This heat dome. Can you explain that a bit?
Sure. So essentially, it's a big area of high pressure, high up in the atmosphere, an upper level ridge. It sort of parks itself over a region.
Like a blocking pattern.
Exactly, a blocking high. And it acts like a giant lid, trapping the air underneath. That air just sinks, compresses, and heats up day after day.
Like a pressure cooker effect, almost.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. A huge continental pressure cooker.
And the forecasts. They look pretty intense. What are we talking, numbers-wise?
They're stark, yeah. For the Iberian Peninsula, we could see temps pushing 45 degrees Celsius, maybe even 44 to 46 in certain valleys, starting around June 29th.
Oh, and France?
France is looking at peaks maybe around 41 to 43 Celsius. Paris likely seeing its highest temps around July 2nd.
Okay, even southern England, London, they're not escaping.
No, forecasts suggest around 35 Celsius there by June 30th. And then Germany and the Benelux countries, well, they could be pushing 40 Celsius, right, especially southern Benelux. Northeast Germany, maybe 38, 39 degrees.
And it sticks around. It's not just a quick blast.
That's the key issue here. It looks persistent. We're talking 7, maybe 10 days, right into the beginning of July.
So what does that mean for people, for the environment? What are the risks that cascade from this?
Right, that's the critical question. The risks are, well, they're manifold. First, you've got drought and wildfire. This kind of heat just bakes the moisture out of the ground. Regions already low on soil moisture are going to be extremely vulnerable. Think back to 2024, southeastern Europe had its driest summer on record. This just makes that risk much, much higher.
And public health, obviously.
Oh, absolutely. Profound implications, especially for, the elderly, young children, people with existing health conditions. We see spikes in dehydration, heat exhaustion, heat stroke, but also heart attacks, strokes.
We've seen this before, tragically, the 2003 heat wave.
Exactly. 2003 saw, estimates say, around 72,000 excess deaths across Europe. 2010 in Russia, another 55,000. These aren't small numbers.
Yeah.
And just last year, 2024, Europe had its second highest number of days classified with strong or extreme heat stress on record. This is a trend.
Beyond health, what about infrastructure? Does that get impacted?
Definitely. High heat disrupts things you might not immediately think of. Electricity grids get strained sometimes. Power plants, like the Buggy nuclear plant in France, have had issues with cooling water being too warm, and physical infrastructure can literally break down. We've seen railway tracks buckle in extreme heat, like reported in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Transport gets disrupted.
Okay, so while Western Europe is basically baking, let's shift east. West Russia, North Caucasus, you said storms first?
Yeah, it's a different setup initially. From around June 29th to July 2nd, the forecast there is for increased rain, some severe thunderstorms, potential for hail, strong winds, maybe gusting up to 25 meters per second. So quite active weather.
And then the heat.
Then it switches. From about July 3rd to the 8th, conditions are expected to become much drier, sunnier, and hotter. Temperatures climbing into the 80s Fahrenheit, so 27 to 31 Celsius range. Still very warm for the region.
How does climate change play into that pattern? The storms, then the heat.
Well, the basic physics link is clear for the intense rain. A warmer atmosphere holds more moisture, about 7% more, for every degree Celsius rise. So when storms do form, they have more water vapor to work with, leading to heavier downpours. These severe convective events, as they're called, can become more intense.
Right, and in the Caucasus region specifically, there are other factors too.
Yes, in the Caucasus, there's the added issue of glacial retreat. Glaciers there have shrunk significantly, maybe 600 meters on average over the last century. When you combine that melting with intense rainfall events, it dramatically increases the risk of dangerous mudflows. We saw that tragically in Chovy, Georgia. In 2023, 24 people died.
Wow, and longer term.
Longer term, the glacier melt also means future water shortages. Projections suggest river flows in the region could decrease by about 20% by the end of the century. That's a huge concern.
So really, looking at both the heat wave and these storms, climate change is the common thread, amplifying the risks across the board.
It absolutely is. It's not about isolated incidents anymore. It's about the background state shifting. Studies have looked at this, like a June heat wave hitting over 28 degrees Celsius in southeast England. That's now estimated to be about 9 times more likely than it would have been without human-induced warming. And hitting 32 degrees, maybe around 100 times more likely, the odds are just fundamentally changing.
And the costs, not just human costs, but financial.
Staggering. The EU alone between 1980 and 2023 saw something like 738 billion euros in losses just from weather and climate extremes.
738 billion?
Yeah. And a big chunk of that, 162 billion euros, was just in the 3 years from 2021 to 2023. The costs are accelerating.
And it's important to remember, these aren't just abstract numbers in a report. They represent real impacts on people, on communities, on you listening. So wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway for you? What does all this forecasting really tell us?
I think it underscores that this shift to a new normal isn't theoretical anymore. It's happening now, and it's accelerating, which brings up the crucial point. We need proactive, systemic adaptation. We can't just react anymore.
What does that look like?
Well, the sources mention things like really robust heat health action plans, making sure cities and health services are prepared, better severe weather warning systems and preparedness, but also bigger picture stuff. Serious accelerated investment in climate resilience for infrastructure, for agriculture, and making sure climate risk is integrated into basically all planning.
Right. So the evidence seems pretty conclusive. These extremes are happening more often, they're costing more, they're having a bigger impact. The question isn't really if anymore, is it? It's whether we as societies can adapt and build resilience fast enough to keep pace with the changes we're causing. So maybe the thought to leave you with is, what does building that resilience actually look like where you live, in your own life,